Hello and welcome to the history of movie theaters and drive-ins for Detroit and Wayne County for 1960 to 1969. (1960) United Detroit takes over the Broadway Capitol and renames it the Grand Circus on December 23. These theaters closed in 1960. 1961. The Old Regent at 7314 Woodward reopens as the Center on July 30th. The Translux Theater at 6540 Woodward reopens as the Center. The Temple Theater at 17730 John R. becomes the Art Theater, showing adult movies on June 29. 1962. The Franklin Theater reopens as the Guild Theater on March 8. The Midtown Theater is renamed the Studio Midtown on August 1. Wisper-Wetman Theaters opens the Terrace Theater in Livonia as the first major suburban theater in the Detroit area on September 20th. These theaters closed in 1962. (1963) The Maikai Theater is opened as the World's Most Beautiful Theater by Nicholas George in Livonia on April 10 with a 60-foot screen. The Studio Midtown became the Midtown Art in May. The Highland Theater in Highland Park becomes the Paris Art Theater, showing adult movies on September 4. These theaters closed in 1963. 1964. The Schaefer Theater in Garden City reopens on November 13 as the La Parisienne. The Midtown Art Theater became the Midtown Follies on December 25, showing adult movies and live shows. The Circle Theater in Dearborn reopens as the Camelot on December 31. These cinemas closed in 1964. 1965. The Cass Playhouse is reopened by Transbeacon Theaters as the Summit Cinerama on March 16. The Surf at 13125 Fenkill reopens on September 1 as the Variety Theater, show art movies and adult movies later. The East Detroit Theater in East Point reopens as the Capri Theater on October 8, showing adult movies. General Cinema opens the Livonia Mall Cinema 1 and 2 on October 13. The Coronet Theater at 16,535 Mac closes.
Look out! Here comes the biggest Bond of all. Thunderball.
1966. The Vanguard Live Theater reopens as the Gem Art Adult Theater on March 6. The Quo Vadis Theater in Westland is built by Wayne Amusements on June 22 next to the Algiers Drive-In. The Studio News Center Theater opens on June 24. The Bijou Theater, downtown, becomes the new Gaiety. 1967. The Family Theater is renamed Follies on June 2, showing adult movies. Nicholas George takes over the Michigan Theater on December 20. These theaters closed in 1967. 1968. The new Gaiety Theater reopens as the Cine X, showing adult movies. The Paris Art Theater in Highland Park is renamed Highland, showing adult movies. The Quo Vadis Theater adds 2 more screens, called the Penthouse 1 and 2. These theaters closed in 1968. 1969. The Studio Theater at 13,325 Livernois reopens as the Astro Theater on July 4. The Fairlane Theater in Dearborn Heights opens on July 9. Suburban Detroit Theaters opens the Eastland Theater in Harper Woods on September 17. The Living Room Theater is added to the Dearborn Theater on September 24. The Southgate Theater is opened by Nicholas George Theaters on Southgate on October 8. Nicholas George takes over the Telenus Theater and reopens it on November 7 as the Plaza Theater. These theaters closed in 1969. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe.